Okay. All right.
All right, you're good.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. This is week 8, and this is the introduction of the RV, which is short for revamp, and it's a revamp strategy that I originally started using a long time ago, and I kind of wanted to take this week, because this will be the last one that we do until the new year, to go over it, since we had really talked a lot about all the, intrinsic elements of what the mental psyche needs to be in trading, but I haven't really gone over, like, actual trading strategies, right? So just to get started though, before we get into the strategy itself, I want to go over why they're so important and kind of the limits that they have, right? So again, going over what we're here, why strategies are important is what we're starting off with. How to not be consumed by the knowledge of what, all the TA that's out there, or even the FA, the fundamental analysis. Next, we'll go over the RV. I'll go in depth on how to trade the strategy, kind of show you an example, and then kind of conclude for everything for today. Okay, so getting right into it, guys. Why strategies are so important. Again, all of you know a strategy is the rule set that we use to place our trades consistently to achieve a positive result over the long term, right? This is not day in, profits. This is long term talking. But without that rule set, we're not able to get those consistent results. But many of you may not know why they work, right? So I find that it's always best to understand why something works rather than just doing it because it works. And it's simply understanding what probability is. Again, we've talked about this in the past, so I'm going to go briefly. But if you have a strategy that can be proven to work over several months, I'd say, like months, not weeks, months, for a reason that is backed by the markets, for example, support or resistance, then you have a valid strategy. And then the next step is to take it to live trades. Now, see how simple that was? See how simple explaining what a strategy is and how to get one to work? So if it really is that simple, why are we spending so much time on learning more analysis to try and make ourselves better, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at on this next slide. So perhaps your back-tested results, they're just not showing the same as your live results, right? And if that's the case, I want you to know that you absolutely can replicate those results. There is nothing that stops you from getting those things that you backtest to your live trades. All it is a matter of time trading the same way every single day, right? So to kind of summarize what I'm talking about here, you must have a strategy to trade. However, it is still a small component to being profitable, and that's what we're going to go into next, right? So right into it, how to not be consumed by that knowledge, right? So this is the part where I want to go in depth on why understanding TA is important, but it is such a small factor. It's only about 20% of what making a profitable trader is, but knowledge isn't just TA. Think about yourself as a video game character, right? You have skill sets or skill points. Many of you guys have been putting all of your skill points into learning technical analysis. If you're so one-sided and you don't give anything to the other sectors, which may be, patience, risk management, patience, risk management, it could be, adopting different ways of taking profit, right? Rather than just, entering with a set amount of risk, different ways that you can set your TPs, different ways you can move your stop loss, right? There's a lot of things outside of just the technical analysis sector that we kind of tend to disregard because it's not going to directly make us any money, right? Having a strategy, that's what's going to make us money, in our head at least. But me taking a take profit a little bit different, it's not going to make me any extra money today. Like, it might a little bit, but it's not going to make me that much more. It might even make you less if you have to bring your TP down because you're letting your trades run too much and it's actually causing you to make less. So, again, this is not to say that you should stop learning, right? I think it's very important that everybody should learn more about the markets. But take a second to think, oh, my apologies, I got an alarm going off. Take a second to look at the other sectors, this was something I talked about last week, of your trading career and how they can be important, right? So the first thing that I just went over, why strategies are important, and then the second thing, how not to be consumed by knowledge. These are very important to understand before I go over my actual strategy. Because if you don't have these concepts internalized, you're not going to be able to produce the results that I am at the same consistency. Okay, guys? It all comes down to placing the trade the same way every day. All right, so back to the main topic of today's lesson, the RV, right? It is very simple. It is very simple. I made it this way because I knew that if I was going to be a consistent trader, I couldn't have something that's so complex. I'm going to be second guessing myself all the time. I don't want something that I'm going to have so many little loopholes that I'm going to want to make adjustments or, small little adaptations, right? I wanted something that I could look at on a very quick scope and say, that's a trade, take it, or that's not a trade. So let's go through it, right? Things to avoid. Or you know what? I'm going to save that for last. I'm going to go over the actual building of the strategy. So first we're looking for a break of the previous high. And for simplicity's sakes, I am going to just go over a long, but a short is just the complete inverse. So instead of a break of the previous high, it's a break of the previous low. Okay, so for a break of the previous high, and it closes above it, okay? So hopefully you can kind of see on my little diagram that I have next to it, on that top left one, you can see that the green candle broke the previous high, right? And it closed above it. So after it closes above it, we're looking for a pullback that does not break the previous low, okay? So you can see in that same top left, it breaks the previous low, so that invalidates the setup. But the one on the other side, right next to it, the top right corner, it doesn't break that previous low, right? The starting candle, it's a valid trade, okay? So if this lines up, we are going to set our entry over the high of the pullback candle, that red candle that pulls back, and set our stop loss at the low, right? It's all in the same candle. The entry is at the high, stop loss is at the low. Now, keep in mind, this pullback candle cannot be below the 9 EMA, or the trade is invalidated. You can see on all the way at the bottom of that diagram, I have it listed there, where you can see on the left side, it is below the 9 EMA, that invalidates the setup, and on the right side, it closes above the 9 EMA. This validates the setup. You are okay to take that trade with your entry over the high. Now, in the center of that diagram, that is where it is too far extended, right? So in this case, if I see a trade has 4 consecutive green candles, for a long, of course, and then it has a pullback and it goes to trigger, this is not a valid trade. So once again, if there are 4 consecutive green candles and then it has only a single red candle, and then it breaks that red candle high, essentially entering us in that trade, that's not a valid trade. We would have never set that order. The only way that we can set an order after 4 consecutive green candles is if we have a second or a third or a fourth or however many more pullbacks without breaking that previous low. So that goes back to that first step. It can have multiple pullbacks, guys, and our entry will always be on the most recent candle, right? So if it has a single pullback and it doesn't trigger, and then it has a secondary pullback and it doesn't trigger, and it has a third pullback, right? That third candle will be where our entry is, or the second candle if it only had 2. Okay, hopefully this is making sense so far, right? And again, hopefully you're starting to see how simple this can really be. I hope I'm not making this overly complicated, and if you have any questions, you're free to DM me and I'll answer any at the end of this, right? But the main thing to remember is this strategy is the same as any other strategy, right? It gets traded on, in this case, I do trade this on MNQ, the micro NASDAQ futures. And I trade it on the 5-minute chart. I don't trade it on anything else. Only the 5-minute, only on MNQ, and I also only do 1 trade a day, right? I have traded this on stocks. I have traded this on crypto. I've traded this on other futures assets, right? It works on all of them. It's just I personally prefer MNQ on the 5-minute time frame, right? Now, another thing that I wanted to go over quickly was the TP system that I use, right? I keep it, again, fairly simple, and it has changed over time, but this is what I found works the best over the 2 years that I've been trading this strategy, and that's I always look to make sure that first, there's not a support or resistance level that is within 0.9 R of the trade, okay? So to kind of make a little more sense, if I set my entry and my stop loss, right? And then I drag and I look at where 1R is, right? So 100% move. If there's a support or a resistance level above that, or below that, below that 1R level, that invalidates the setup. The reason this is because once it hits 1R, I move my stop loss to break even. Now, if there's a support or resistance level before I can move my stop loss to break even, it's going to lower the chance that this is going to run, or at least it's going to increase the risk that I get stopped out because I don't have time to move my stop loss to break even. Okay? So, after I move my stop loss to break even, let's say the trade moves to 1R. Right? Then I'm looking for it to move to 2R. If it moves to 2R, I move that stop loss one more time to 1R. So this way, my stop is in profit by at least 1R, and if it pulls back, I'm still getting a sizable amount of profit out of the trade. And the final TP is at 3R. So I don't move my stop loss after that. It will either go to 3R and hit me for a full TP, or it will pull back to 1R. Now, you may not trade R to R like I do. It's just what I started with. It's what works for me. It's what makes sense for me. Even though it is my own, this would be a good example of what is not backed by the market, right? R to R trading is not backed by the market because it is my own set standards for where my R to R goes. But it works for me because I'm able to do it consistently day in and day out. And I may get to a point where I adapt and I change that to have my stop loss be at, different levels, or my take profits at different levels rather than just R to R. But again, as long as the strategy itself is backed by the market and you can show consistent results on back tested or even live tested, right? Then I'm okay with you guys having little nuances that make sense to you. Right? Doesn't have to make sense to everybody, but as long as it makes sense to you and you're able to produce the results, that's great. And if you're not able to produce them, make a change, right? Change is okay if you see you are clearly running into a problem. But if your problem is you're not making money right now, that's not a real problem. That just means the market's not set up for you right now. You just need to stay consistent. Okay, guys? So, again, that's the whole RV explained. In my channel, the Chef's TA channel, I'll post this diagram in there. It should already be in there somewhere, but I'll post it again just so it's, fresh right at the bottom where you guys can easily find it. And again, feel free to DM me with any questions, especially with shorts. I hope it's pretty self-explanatory that, whatever's there, just, do it for the inverse, and then that's a short, right? Instead of green and red, instead of above the 9 EMA, it's below the 9 EMA. Okay. No. I did want to say, for this will be the last lesson, and I believe, Reality, correct me if I'm wrong, you did say that tomorrow will be the end of the live streams until the new year, right?
Correct. Yes, we'll be back Monday the 6th.
Gotcha. Okay, so that first week of the new year will also be closed out. Monday the 6th, guys, we'll be picking it up for the regular live streams. And that same week on Thursday at 1:30, I'll pick up with these live lessons as well. I'll still be posting in my channel here and there, so make sure that you have Landon's TA, the little alerts. Make sure you have that turned on. And thank you guys for joining. Reality, do we have any questions in any of the chats?
Anybody got any questions, guys? Anything? Thank you very much, Landon. As always, I haven't seen anything yet.
Not a problem.
I think it's very self-explanatory, and that's why I'm not sure there's going to be any questions this time around, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's really a good thing. I was hoping that there wouldn't be too many questions with it. I wanted to go as in depth with the strategy, going over every little part. But again, guys, I'm sure most of you guys, or at least some of you, were here when I went over the judgment calls or the holes in your strategy lesson, right? What I just explained there is a perfect example of how your strategy should look like. You shouldn't have any little nuances where if you were explaining to somebody, like I just did, that there was a spot where, they would have a question like, well, what do you do if this happens, right? You should be able to very, accurately say, oh, well, then I do this. Even if I missed something in what I was explaining, if you have a question, I'm 100% confident I could tell you, oh, well, this is what I do in that situation. Because I've traded it for so long, I just have it. Can you backtest it live for us? Yeah, it feels. If I can get my, let's see, I'll pull up. Give me 1 second. I'll do it even better for you.
Landon comes prepared. I guarantee it, Phils.
All right, live trades 2024. These were the last. This was from April. These missed ones, these were just back tested, but then you can see the rest. These were all live traded. Took a break in August here, but I'll go through. Let's see. We'll take a date from August. One of these hit trades. Let's see. I'll show you a winning trade first. Just make it easy on you, just so you can see what you're kind of going for. So down here, we'll launch this in the chart so I can actually mess with it. Oh, is it gonna? Oh, it might not load. Okay, that's fine. Well, so you can kind of see down here. I'll see if I can zoom in on it. Oh, it's not gonna let me. Down here on that third one over here, right? We have those 3 green candles. Reality, are you able to see my cursor on the screen?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, cool, excellent. So I can actually, so you've got these 3 right here. It's not 4, so it doesn't invalidate this setup, right? Comes up, and then there's our red candle right there, right? Now this next one right here, this green, doesn't quite trigger. It's a little bit over the lip, but I do like to set my stop loss. I set it 1 tick above that candle high. I forgot to mention that. I set it 1 tick. For MNQ, it usually doesn't make a big difference because it's such a large asset, but it just something with time where I don't like to get slipped in because it, perfectly hits, but 1 tick above. So that green candle didn't quite make it. The following red did. And you can see we wrote it up to the top right here. This was a full all the way out, probably either 3 or 4 hour, depending on what my final target was at that time. But these last 2, you can see this first one was a loss. This was also the time when I was taking 3 trades in a day. I have since downsized to 1 a day just because of the recent market just not really being there for me. But it's the same setup in the sense that I've got 2 green candles followed by a pullback. Next candle doesn't trigger. Next candle does trigger, right? Set my entry there, comes up, triggers, stops me out, right? Next trade's right here, right in the center. 1, 2, 3, breaks the previous high. Red candle for a pullback. None of these are breaking the previous low. You can see none of these break that previous low. Even though this red candle comes down, it doesn't actually close below that previous low. Same with over here, right? Comes up, I get triggered on that small little green doji candle. Comes up, and then this was a break-even trade. It just happened to move fast, but in my benefit, it moved up before down, right? Again, live trades taken. Let's see, I'll just find, we'll go back, random day, we'll go June. Here, this will be a loss, so we can kind of see. Let's see, so 2 back-to-back losses on this day. Comes down, here's our first one, red candle right here. It just barely breaks that previous low, but it does end up breaking. Next candle, it does not break the previous low. That is okay, right? Again, I didn't go exactly into depth on that one. There are little things that I had missed, but as long as you have 1 candle that did break that previous low, the trade is still valid, unless, of course, it invalidates one of the other setups. And in this case, it is a short trade, so you can see we are no longer looking to be above that 9 EMA. We are below the 9 EMA, right? Following a green candle right here, okay? Sets our entry right there, because that is our pullback in this sense. Doesn't trigger on the first, or it might have. I can't tell right there. And then the following one, it definitely did. Pushes down, pulls back, stops us out. For the following one, it's the same, just a traditional. Let's see, can I? Yeah, so it'd be on this one. I was hoping I could show you one where it pulled back twice. Let me see if I can find that. It's not super uncommon, so I might just be able to find a random one. Oh, here we go. So this one right here, the second one, Comes up, it isn't 4 green candles, so the trade isn't invalidated, but it does have multiple pullbacks, so you can visualize it the same way. Comes up, breaks previous high, breaks previous high, breaks previous high, all valid. Here's our first pullback. Our entry would originally be set over the high of that red candle. Secondary pullback. Entry gets set on this one, does not trigger. A third pullback. Entry set over that high, right? It does not break the previous low of this starting candle. The first one that broke the previous high, that was the start of the setup. Does not break. Does not close below the 9 EMA, so it is still valid. And on not the 1, 2, 3, but the fourth pullback, right? We finally get triggered right there with our long over the high of that inverse hammer candle. Stop loss under the low. Comes up, and by the looks of it, it looks like that this wick down was before we got entered. So comes up, enters us for a full win, right? Do you guys have any questions for that? Hopefully that's making sense. I kind of got to show you all the different variations that a trade could or could not work. And I think even in my channel, let me double check real quick. I thought I had posted a link to the spreadsheet that I'm going off right now. It might be in there somewhere. No, I'm not seeing it. So I'll go ahead. I'll make a copy. Of that spreadsheet, and I'll post it in that channel as well. So you guys can go back and you should be able to click on all the links and whatnot. You'll see all the live trades. You'll see the months where I had some serious drawdown. You'll see some months where it did very well. But overall, this was a green year. Thankfully, we did end the year green. Hopefully we're still trading, but it does look like we're going to get that way. But reality, are we seeing anything in the chats?
Nope, all's good on these sides, it seems.
All right. Perfect, then I'll go ahead. I'll call it there, guys. Again, if you have any questions, just, again, feel free to DM me. If you want to ping me in the open chat, that's totally fine as well. And thank you guys for being with us for all these weeks that we've been doing this. Like I said, we'll pick it back up in the new year. Not that first week, I don't believe, but the second week on Thursday, and of course on Monday for the regular live streams. So again, thank you guys. Thank you, Reality, for being able to host these things. I will see you guys in the new year.
All right, appreciate you, Landon. Very good, very good. All right, guys, that wraps it up. Have a great day. As always, guys, stay consistent out there.